Welcome to another episode of the Wellness Digest. Today, we're going to be talking about your gut, your power, why women must prioritize gut health for overall well-being. So, as we've talked about before, the gut really is a control center for our overall well-being and especially for women's health. It impacts everything from, of course, digestion to nutrient absorption, energy, mood, immune function, hormone balance, and longevity. And, for us, both for me and Lena, when we think about our gut health, it's not just about improving our lifespan. It's really improving health span so that you can feel healthy for as long as possible. And, we know this. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this too. When your gut feels off, often everything feels off. And it really impacts how you go through the day, how you feel about yourself, how your energy levels, your mood, etc. So today we're going to explore how gut health shapes women's well-being, from hormones to mental health, and how small daily rituals can make a profound difference.
So when Hannah talks about gut health, what we're really talking about here is the gut microbiome. And just as a quick reminder, the gut microbiome is this beautiful world of trillions of microorganisms, including bacteria and yeasts that live in our large intestine. And these microorganisms influence so many different, very important functions in our body. And unfortunately, there are very common daily modern stressors that deplete our gut microbiome of especially these good gut bacteria that we need to live well and long. Some of those include stress, processed foods, alcohol, medications, especially like antibiotics. And you really want to take care of your gut, replenish it, and nourish it on a daily basis in order to reap those health benefits and longevity benefits. And we believe a healthy life starts with a healthy gut, and the gut truly helps lay the foundation of living your best life.
Absolutely. And, science has shown many times that a healthy, balanced gut microbiome contributes to health and longevity, whereas an imbalanced gut with inflammation can contribute to many, many of our modern diseases, including, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and even cognitive decline, including Alzheimer's. So it really is a control center for our health.
Yeah. And I think even just honing in on this first point that we think of when we think of the gut, which is digestion, and relaying that to women. Women are disproportionately affected by digestive issues. Just a couple of stats here. Women are 2 times more likely to have irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. There's 75% of women experience monthly bloating. 2 to 3 times more likely to have constipation. A couple of factors that play into that in our modern life are definitely stress. There's a lot of expectations placed on the modern woman that contribute to high amounts of stress and even burnout. There's medication use like antibiotics, even birth control, and then also the hormonal changes we experience on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this stress factor. We know stress is incredibly depleting to the gut. Can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is one of my most favorite topics because the more I dive into the impact that stress has on our body and how that's all connected to the gut, the more it all makes sense. So many people we talk to say their gut symptoms flare when they're stressed, but it's so much more than that. So, we've talked about this before, but there's this gut-brain connection called the gut-brain axis. And it's a bidirectional, I think of it like a highway where the gut is communicating with the brain and the brain is communicating with the gut. So if we have inflammation in the gut, if we have dysbiosis in the gut, we don't have the right good bacteria sending these messenger signals up and down, this directly impacts our brain. It makes us less resilient to stress. It can lead to things like brain fog, even neuroinflammation. So there's a strong connection there. But one of the most fascinating things I've recently learned about is that cortisol, which is our stress hormone, actively depletes our good gut bacteria and increases inflammation in the gut. So when we're stressed and cortisol is high, we're directly damaging our gut and our gut lining. And when our gut lining becomes inflamed, it eventually can lead to something called leaky gut, which essentially means our gut lining becomes porous or permeable, and the things that are in our gut that really shouldn't leak into the bloodstream can now leak into the bloodstream, which sets off this vicious cycle of an immune system attack. The immune system then goes into overdrive, leading to inflammation across our body. And again, this low-grade inflammation has been linked to so many chronic lifestyle illnesses, including insulin resistance, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive issues. So this is all connected, but this acute, especially if it's ongoing, persistent stress, eventually leading to burnout, and also nervous system dysregulation, which is just another fancy term, I think, for just this chronic stress that we're in. That's a huge driver for inflammation in the gut and eventually inflammation through the body. And, speaking of this stress gut connection, one of the things that is really beneficial is to support the gut through a targeted probiotic. Our Omnibiotic Stress Release was specifically designed to support the body during times of stress and to help replenish that gut microbiome, helping to reduce the inflammation in the gut, and with that also have a positive impact on the gut-brain axis. So that's one of my tips of how I support my gut, especially in stressful times, is I take Omnibiotic Stress Release. It's such a powerful hack.
Yeah, because you are going to experience stress,
Absolutely.
sometimes even chronic stress, but it's just about recognizing how depleting it is for your gut and then doing something to replenish the good gut bacteria and support your gut health.
Absolutely.
And stress release is such a simple and effective way to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd love to add on this point of leaky gut, because leaky gut is such a huge contributor to women's health issues. And you mentioned the relationship between leaky gut and driving low-grade inflammation and this overreaction of the immune system. But then there's also the impact on the liver and our detox pathways, right? Because the gut and the liver are directly connected. And so anything that's not filtered out properly by the gut barrier, which has become leaky, now leaks through to the liver. And over time, the liver becomes overburdened. And that can contribute to fatigue, stubborn weight gain, metabolic issues, and in really tough cases, even liver disease. Another thing to consider with leaky gut is that you're really decreasing the effectiveness of how the gut is absorbing really important nutrients and vitamins that contribute to how your body is functioning. In addition to that, leaky gut and this low-grade inflammation can actually exacerbate symptoms of women's health conditions like PCOS and endometriosis.
Yeah, and I think this nutrient absorption point is such an important one because especially, for us women, right, we care about our hair and like how strong it is and our skin and how glowy it is. And that, of course, also that impacts how gracefully we age. And I think if you realize that nutrients that you put in your body have to be absorbed in order to give you the benefits, that's when you realize, oh, wow, if my gut is inflamed and not absorbing these nutrients properly, it really doesn't matter how clean you eat or how many amazing supplements you take, because half of that doesn't even reach your body in the places it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
All right, so next, let's talk a little bit more about the gut hormone connection. So our gut microbiome is actually a really important piece in helping us recycle and excrete excess hormones or old hormones, so to speak. And there's a portion of our gut microbiome that's called the estrobolome, which is a group of gut bacteria that helps us regulate our estrogen metabolism. So again, when your gut is out of balance, that can directly impact how you process hormones, how you recycle your hormones, and your overall hormone balance, which I think is so fascinating. And research has shown that when there's dysbiosis in the gut, that disrupts our estrobolome, our estrogen, and is linked to conditions like PCOS, endometriosis, PMS, fibroids, and even infertility in some cases. And honestly, a lot of the functional medicine practitioners and, functional nutritionists that we work with and talk to, they will tell you if a woman is working on her fertility, you have to also look at the gut, because again, the gut can be such a driver for, hormone imbalances, inflammation overall, and nutrient absorption, and all of that also impacts our fertility and just hormone balance overall. So that's kind of the scoop on the gut hormone balance.
I think these points have really honed in on the fact that the gut is at the core of so many important functions in our body, and taking care of it is truly such a powerful way to care for yourself. It's, I think, a form of self-care and self-respect. And taking a probiotic is such a simple and effective way to replenish these good gut bacteria that are depleted from modern stressors, but also to support these very important gut axes as well as your digestion. So we like to think of taking our omnibiotic as a daily 1-minute ritual that really helps lay the foundation for our overall health and well-being and our longevity. And we invite you to join us in that ritual and reap the benefits.
And the power of taking a targeted probiotic, like the formulations we offer at Omnibiotic, is that you can really be intentional about the bacteria that you put into your body to help you reap the most benefits depending on what season of life you're in. And with Omnibiotic, every single formulation has clinical studies. We have a super effective delivery mechanism. They come from the highest European quality criteria and over 30 years of microbiome research. So, that's a quality you can feel, and they really make a difference in your life.
So beyond taking a probiotic, what would you say are your top daily gut health supporting tips?
So I think first and foremost, as you just said, taking this high quality probiotic is such an easy, effective way to just continue to support your gut and make it more resilient to things like stress and, other things that are happening in our day-to-day lives. Second, nourish, eating colorful, whole foods, fruits and vegetables, really trying to eat the rainbow. So you get your fiber, you get your polyphenols, your antioxidants, all these good things from our food that can really, support our gut and our overall well-being. Rebalance, especially if you just had a disruption to your gut microbiome, whether it's antibiotics or a stomach bug or food poisoning, it's really important to replenish with good bacteria to re-strengthen and rebuild our gut microbiome and reset. This to me is the stress management most of all. As we spoke about in this episode, stress is so detrimental to our nervous system, to our gut, to our overall well-being. So really making sure that you incorporate these mindfulness habits and just stress management tools into your life, whatever that might look like for you. And lastly, if it's a persistent issue, a real gut issue that you just can't seem to shake, then I really think doing a good stool test with a practitioner who's very well versed in gut health is super beneficial, because you actually get a sense for what's going on in your gut. And do you have a pathogen? Do you have lots of inflammation? Do you have gluten sensitivity or whatever? Those things can show up in a stool test and can be very beneficial.
So in closing, I think we've seen here again and again that your gut is truly one of your top allies in living well and long. Taking care of your gut goes so much beyond digestive care. It truly is whole body care. And we'd love to encourage you to find one daily ritual that strengthens your gut and with that helps lay this foundation of your overall health.